Welcome to episode 8 of our 80s dance music at My Media Museum. And don't get more 80s than 99 Red Balloons by Nina. That's definitely 80s music. And 1983 to be specific. And this is an early barcode. You can see barcodes on 45s in the early 80s. Those were some of the first ones that were showing up with barcodes. Get a little more into the 80s, closer to the end, and they become more common. I don't recall ever seeing one earlier than the earliest 80s. I don't remember seeing any in the 70s, let's put it that way. But I think it was around 75 when they started pushing barcodes on a lot of things. I remember that's when Mad Magazine had their issue with the big giant barcode on the front cover for the cover, saying that they were forced into putting that on their cover, so they hoped that it would jam every scanner in the country. Any of you remember that issue? I'm pretty positive that was 75. So anyways, I don't recall ever seeing a barcode on a 45 from the 70s. It was early 80s. Like I said, this is around 83, 82 is the earliest you're going to see one with a barcode. 99 Love Balloons, I'm not positive, but I think that's the German vocal version of the 99 Red Balloons. So it's interesting that that's what's on the B-side of this one here. And next up, we've got an Atlantic Oldies series. And the platter is When a Man Loves a Woman. And I thought that was done by someone else. I definitely recognize that song. I know it was remade, and that might be what I'm thinking of, is some of the remakes that have been made. But Percy Sledge hit number 1 in April of 1966 with When a Man Loves a Woman. And the B-side was a song called Cover Me, which from the title I don't recognize. But being that this is an oldie series, and we discussed this plenty, lots of times these reissues, classic re-releases, they'll have double A's. They'll have an A-side on each side. But there's no notations of any chart positions here, so I'm going to go with this being the A-side and the number 1 hit, obviously, and the song that I know, and you probably know too. Next up, a lot of these here we're going to know whether or not we like them or not. Carl Carlton, who I don't recognize, but Everlasting Love. Again, another one that I thought was done by somebody else, but quite probably I'm remembering a remake. Someone else doing it, because I think I remember a female voice doing Everlasting Love, and Carl Carlton does not sound like a female. But hit number 6 in December of 74, so we're a little bit out of our 80s too, but I'm pretty positive the remake of this that was really popular was in the 80s. My Everlasting Love, unless I'm confusing that with another song by the same title. Like this, to me, would be Brownsville's Station, Smoking in the Boys' Room, but this is just Smoking Room, so not a clue. And it is clearly marked as the B-side here, so this time we're not guessing. We know that that's Carl's B-side, and this one was clearly marked as the A. So there you have it. Michael Stanley Band, no relation to Paul as far as I'm aware. In fact, I think this might just possibly be country, especially with it coming off of an album called Heartland. Maybe it's one of those crossovers, but I don't know Michael Stanley or Michael Stanley Band. It just sounds like it could be something that could be country and western rather than dance music. Hit number 33 in the charts in January of 81, and we know this is the A-side because we've got that in star there, which was telling the DJ what side they wanted them to play. You see, there's no star on this side. Anytime you see a star on those labels, it's included the DJ that this is the side we want you to promote. This is the side that we're pushing. And it's not always just on promotionals. You do see that a lot on promotional copies or DJ copies, but you see it on the regular ones too, the ones that were just sold to the general public. At least this one we're in 1980 here. So Carolyn, not a song that I know or I'm familiar with, and neither was He Can't Love You. I don't know any of that, so maybe you do. Hopefully that sparks a memory for you. Next up, we've got another one that I do recognize, Dilbert McClinton. Might have heard that name once or twice. Not as familiar with the name as I am with the song "Giving It Up for Your Love Every Night." Again, 1980. Says it hit number 8 in December of 1980 on the charts from the LP "The Jealous Kind." Clearly, again, marked as an A-side. Love it when they do that. Thank you very much. And then the B-side here was a song called "My Sweet Baby." And, yeah, don't know it either. This MSS Records, I'm guessing that's what that logo says. That's a little unique for me, too. I don't remember having seen that very many times. But it is Capitol. Of course, we know Capitol. We all know Capitol well. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this one everybody's going to know. And we've got us an original price tag there. Always nice to see those. At least then you know the sleeve is original to the vinyl. And in this case, I have shown this song on the channel before in a previous video. I can't reference back to you to which one, but it's in there somewhere in those 400 videos that I have up on the channel right now for you to enjoy. But this is Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr., you know, from the movie Ghostbusters, of course. It did hit number 1 in June of 1984. But this is a Flashbacks reissue version of it. The B-side is still the same, though. They did not change the B-side because on that original 45 that came out for this, it had the instrumental version on the back side, so you could do your karaoke into the Ghostbusters. Do-do-do-do-do-do. But that is definitely a reissue on Flashback. Next up, this is another one that's definitely 80s. I recognize the band, but not so much the song this time around. Radio, doing "You Can't Change That." I have heard of Radio. Our next disc up is another one by Radio, but again, none of the songs are familiar to me. This is 1979. We're right on the edge of the 80s, and I actually like the titles for the B-sides of both these radios better. This one's Rock On, and the next one you're going to see is going to be Get Down. So those titles sounded better to me than the what were marked as the A sides. So I don't know either song here, but side B, side A. So not guessing there on the A and B sides on these. They were clearly marked for me. This one, though, does have some notations of chart positioning for us. Radio's Jack and Jill. Little story about Jack and... No, that's another guy altogether. But hit number 8 in February of 1978. You'll notice it's written by Ray Parker Jr., so I'm thinking that the previous ones were as well. Ray Parker Jr. So that must be a band that Ray Parker was with or worked with before doing his solo material. There again, I just don't know Ray Parker's career that well, and I don't know these songs. I do know Ghostbusters, but here's Radio with that B-side that I told you was Get Down. So, and it's going all the way back to 77. So this is definitely some of Ray Parker's earlier work than Ghostbusters. So I just ain't familiar with that band. But apparently the person that bought these was, and they were in the stack together like that, so they probably were fully aware that Ray Parker came out of a band called Radio, or produced or worked with or wrote songs for the band. There's some affiliation there for sure. So moving on, we've got a couple from Tina Turner. And that's just about as 80s as you can get, too. I know she started in the 60s, Ike and Tina Turner, and she had a career up through the 70s, but she had a real big spike there in the 80s with some of her big hits. Better Be Good to Me, I know that song. I recognize that song. Hit number 5 on the charts in October of 1984. Private Dancer, I believe that was a huge album for her. That's probably where this the next 45 came from, that same album, I'm sure. The B-side being a song When I Was Young, which was an old Eric Burdon and the Animals song. So interesting to see Tina Turner covering an Animals song. But you know, she came out of the 60s. She was really big and really popular. Her and Ike did Big Wheels Keep On Turning. Proud Mary. Yeah, Proud Mary was a song of theirs. And I think CCR might have covered more than just one of their songs, to tell you the truth. But yes, moving on to the next one. We've got a #1 hit from Tina from the 80s. What's Love Got to Do with It? Again, Private Dancer. This time she hit #1 in June of '84. So, good job there, Tina. She boogie woogie woogie. And the B-side, Rock and Roll Widow. So, interesting. I like that title, but I don't know the song. So that might be something that could be interesting to throw on and give a spin someday. And next up, I think this might be a repeat, even in this series. It seemed to ring a bell for me when I unwrapped it here, but Marvin Gay with Let's Get It On. There's no example of me getting it kind of crooked or straighten it up there a bit. But yeah, Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. This is clearly a Motown Just Year series, which is a reissue. He hit #1 in July of '73 with that song. And I do believe that the previous copy that I showed you in the not too distant past on the channel was an original and not a reissue. So the B-side of this particular release is a song called Trouble Man, which apparently he hit #7 in the charts in December of '72 with this song. And this song doesn't ring any bells for me at all, but as we discussed in the last episode 7 of this series of videos, so many times I don't recognize the title or an artist, but you know the song by heart and heard it a million times. That could very well be the case with this one here. So that's going to wrap us up for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed that. And come on back and see us for part 9. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to squeeze all the rest of these into part 9, so there's going to be at least 2 more to go. Later.